Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to Try Effort. I'm Johnny Delbalso, and I messed up big time for episode 7 of this Kona build vlog. I went to upload all the footage to do some editing today off of off my GoPro, and instead of hitting the upload button, I hit the delete button. I deleted everything that I had from this week. Very bummed out. I feel like this was I had some pretty good topics I went over throughout the week. Was very excited to do this one. It's all gone. Definitely a bummer, but I'm going to do my best to give us some type of episode 7 here. We're going to do things a little bit differently. I'm going to gloss over what I did throughout this past week of training. And I think I'm going to show you guys some of my actual Kona build on Training Peaks here, how I set things up for my training for this build in particular. I had a couple people interested in that. I'm not trying to tell you guys how to build an Ironman plan. I just want to show you guys how I came up with mine, what I'm doing here, and maybe how I go about writing my own training. I'm a self-coach athlete. I do coach other athletes. I do not write their plans the same way I write mine. What I get to do with my own training is I get to be a bit more intuitive with what I want to do day to day. So some of my training, I could kind of just give me like a brief synopsis of what I'm going to be doing that day, and my mind knows how to fill in the gaps and whatnot. So that's a little bit different from how I have to write training for other athletes. They can't just make it up as they go. But anyways, I'm going to first go over what I did this week. Today, it's Monday, August 24th, so this would be the past 7 days or whatever. We ended that last week's vlog with the Tri-Clee Olympic try that I did. A few hours after the race, I actually went out for a 9-mile long run in the pouring rain. It was like a thunderstorm and all that. It was actually rather refreshing, but I've done quite a few short course races over the summer, and I'm training for an Ironman. So whenever I'm doing these like 1 or 2 hour races in lieu of like a 5 or 6 hour brick workout, that's not the best trade-off. I'm getting great race intensity, but what I started doing was throwing in some extra run or bike volume after the race was complete to kind of catch me up for the weekend. I know it's not the same thing, but it gives me some type of like Ironman specificity or whatever. So anyways, that's what I did that last Sunday. So that made Monday a pure recovery day. I went out for like a 2-mile walk. I totally count walks as training. I'm very intentional with that. I pay like a lot of attention to like activating my hip flexors and everything whenever I'm walking. I'll go up and down hills, I'll backwards walk and all that. Again, very intentional. Really suggest adding in some walks in your training. I feel like that really helps keep the body moving good. But anyway, so Tuesday I went out to Cleveland. The Cleveland Tri Club, they do these group rides on Tuesdays. There was quite a few people actually. They have like an A group, B group, C group, D group or whatever. Probably, I don't know, 30 people went out there. So I went out with the one group for the first hour or so. We took turns taking pulls or whatever. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not much of a group rider. I kind of don't like that dynamic of having to kind of slot in and wait your turn for pulls. Actually, it got towards the end of the ride and I think they stopped taking pulls or whatever. So I'm just kind of like, well, I just kind of want to go. So I took off on my own. And then I did an extra 40 minutes of sweet spot work on my own there. I had a great time riding with the group and all that. A great group of people. So I'm not trying to talk shit on, the group or anything. Just me in particular. I'm more of a solo guy whenever I'm riding on the bike. But anyways, that was a nice time. Kind of a little bit of recovery and sweet spot work. Got that in on the road bike. Felt good there. Wednesday, I did a threshold pace swim in the morning, and then I did a 10-mile aerobic run, just standard, go out and run, run easy. Aerobic to me, easy work. Thursday, I did another threshold swim. Honestly, I don't remember what types of swims I did. I'm just kind of looking at my Training Peaks here and trying to remember what I had in the vlog. I was talking about so much great stuff, but now I just have to let it go. And then I did an hour and a half easy ride. Friday, what I started doing, what I'm doing in this build here, I'm doing double run days. So I did a 7.5 mile easy run in the morning, and then towards the evening, I did another 7 miles. and I did that evening run at the park on some crushed gravel, so kind of mixing it up a little bit. But that got me about 15 miles on the day, and the load on my legs felt really light. It's kind of breaking up your runs a little bit. I think that helps to get in some extra volume. So I was pretty stoked on that. And then Saturday, I did a big century ride on the tri-bike. Went out, I did 3 by 45 minutes at Ironman Power, and 90 minutes of that ride was in a pure thunderstorm. Like, I was like hydroplaning from the water runoff on the side of the road and all that. I think I might have some footage of that. Maybe we'll throw that in here or whatever. Just whenever it started raining, I think I had to put the camera away. But yeah, like 90 minutes of that, just high winds and all that. But very fun. I actually really enjoyed that. So that was 100 miles at 24 miles an hour, 222 average watts. So my like watts to, speed ratio is very good, but we all know that. And then Sunday went out for a 16-mile long run, and I broke that up as a 4-mile warm up, 6 miles like steady effort, and then 4 miles at like a tempo effort. And for that tempo effort, I was targeting heart rate, so 150 beat heart rate. It was really windy, so some of my miles were in the headwind, some were in tailwind. So I just wanted to go off that heart rate effort versus just locking onto a pace, because your pace varies like 30 seconds per mile whenever you're in and out of the wind like that. So anyways, that capped off that week. Very good. I got 16 and a half hours of training, and that's where I'm at now. All right, so we're going to switch gears and get into how I set up my Ironman training plan for Kona here. I want to start this out by saying I'm not trying to show anybody how to write their own training. I'm not trying to show how to build an Ironman plan. I don't want anybody following my plan or the workouts I have in here. I'm not trying to show you guys day-to-day workouts and all that. I just want to give you a general idea of how I built out this Kona plan around my schedule, around the racing that I've done over the summer, and my thought process whenever I'm doing some of this. So just keep that in mind. Again, don't want anybody following this. I don't want to be critiqued on how I'm doing things. This is I'm my own guinea pig with my training. I'll say that. I'm going to do some screen recording on my computer, and then we're going to do a separate video so I could overlay. We'll be switching up the audio and all that, so we'll get into it. All right, so I'm going to do my best to try to keep this short and sweet. In fact, in the vlog that you guys don't get to see because I erased the footage, I actually talked about how I don't want to be this kind of like influencer. I'm not good at making high quality videos. There's so many other people that could make a video like this so much better than me. I love the videos that I put out there, grabbing the GoPro, just filming. I feel like that's my style, try to keep it fun and all that. But I'm going to do my best to try to create some type of quality content here, and I hope that somebody finds this valuable or useful or just keeps you interested and occupied while you're grinding out a workout on the trainer or something. But anyways, just throwing it out there. Maybe I'm just self-conscious of the videos I make. But anyways, so if you guys are familiar with Training Peaks, I'm going to start you guys off with my performance management chart here. And right here, when I'm circling, this was my Ironman Jacksonville build. You could see the obvious build there, the race, and the recovery period from that. I'm showing you guys that to kind of relay that I already have an Ironman under my belt this season. So before I even started the Kona build, I didn't need to have base phases in my training plan. But what I did do after Ironman Jacksonville was I took a 2-week deload period, or like a fake off season, where I just didn't write any training. I did whatever swimming, biking, and running I felt like doing, and just kind of got the mind right. A full Ironman, it takes it out of you. And I actually did Ironman Arizona and Ironman World Champs Nice kind of back to back the end of last year too. So I have 3 full Ironman builds in me without taking an off season. I needed a little break. So that's what I did there. And then like 4 weeks after that, I had what I was calling my high performance focus phase, where I was doing a lot of threshold VO2 max work, speed work, doing some short course racing. Over the summer, I was having my short course summer where I was just targeting local sprint and Olympic distance triathlons. I did a time trial event. I did Ohio 70.3's bike relay in that. And some of that kind of spilled over into the Kona build here too. And you guys seen some of that in the vlogs. But anyways, that's where I was at before I even started my Kona build training plan. The Kona build for me was a 15-week training plan. So, and it was 15 weeks because that's the time that I had to work with around life schedule, some racing I was doing and all that. It was just the right starting point was 15 weeks out from race day. So we're going to jump to calendar view now. And the way I actually start any of my A-race plans is I go all the way to the race date, October 11th. We know what we're doing. We are doing a 4,200 yard swim, a 112 mile bike, and a full marathon. So I throw that in the plan. I throw the race on the calendar. I do the same race week plan for any of my like target A races, pretty much any race I do. I have the same race week structure, and I leave that so open to when you're at race location, sometimes you're not following the plan. You're doing whatever you want to do that day. You want to go explore the race course, do some course recon. You want to get in some open water swimming. But I have set workouts on the schedule at least, so I know kind of my targets that I want to stay around. So anyways, I work backwards from this point. I have my taper week, very similar deal. I have taper week workouts that I like getting in. I have my travel day here, October 2nd. So that shakes up a lot of your training during taper week. But taper, we're just really trying to offload fatigue, bring down the volume, and get us more ready for a race day and whatnot. But my taper week, you can still receive adaptations like 10 to 12 days out from race day. So my taper week, this like Tuesday and Wednesday, those are kind of my last like key workouts I feel like I can get in to actually make some type of gains for race day. So after that, I shut it down and actually go into a real taper from that point. And taper, that doesn't mean you're doing nothing. It means that you are doing less volume, less intensity. You are tapering down the work that you've been putting in. Again, I'm not trying to show you guys day-to-day workouts and all that, just trying to show my thought process whenever I'm writing my training here. So again, moving backwards, we're going to go 2 weeks up from here. I'm going to have my peak week 1 and peak week 2. These are going to be my, they might not even be my highest hours of training per week, but they're going to be kind of like the most race specific work that I'm going to do throughout this whole training build. And peak week 1, I'm going to have my big day race rehearsal on that weekend where I'm going to do the full Ironman bike ride at race power, and then I'm going to do an hour runoff at race pace. So that's kind of the key workout for peak week 1. And peak week 2, peak week 2 is actually going to have a little bit more volume, just not as intense of a race rehearsal like peak week 1 has. So anyways, those weeks, that's going to be 16 hours and 18 and a half hours of training. It might even end up being a little bit more whenever I add in, some strength work or some auxiliary work. I do a lot of like intentional walk workouts. I'll do like hill walking and all that. I count that as my training. I feel like that's what really helps me excel in this sport, is some of that extra work that I throw in there. But anyways, we're going to move backwards again, one more week. This is going to be my big down week. So this is I call it big down week because I'm getting ready for the 2 peak weeks, what I call my final push phase of training. So right there, we got big down week, we got 2 peak weeks, we got taper week and race week. That is the last 5 weeks of my training plan already written out before I even start my the build process or whatever. I'm trying to relay this how I want to. I have my whole plan written out here, but whenever I first started this plan, I didn't have the weeks before that filled out yet. I had the last 5 weeks written, and then I'm going to go all the way up to week 1 where I started writing my training there moving forward. And then I would kind of meet myself where I was at every couple weeks or so. I knew the training plan's phases that I was going to be in, but I didn't necessarily have the workouts written just yet. If you write out an entire 15, 16 week training plan, you're going to be rewriting most of that as the weeks go on. At least for me, what I do, it's fully customized for the athlete, myself, week by week, and I'm changing up what I'm going to be doing every couple weeks or so. That's just what how the body responds to training. You got to account for that. This isn't AI programming where it's going to automatically adjust for me. So why waste that time writing stuff whenever I'm just going to change it up? So we're going to go all the way up to the start of this plan now. This was June 29th, and I'm going to go over the phases of training that I wrote for this Kona build. I had 3 build weeks of training to start with, and I was calling this my bridge phase of training, bridging from the high performance speed work that I was doing to Ironman volume. So it was kind of like a kind of get my body ready to handle what was to come, the full Ironman training. So my hours there were between 10 to 14 hours of training. My high performance phase was like 10 hours of training, but really high intensity. So 3 build weeks, the bridge week, that's about whenever I started the Kona build vlog. If you've been following that along. Actually, let's talk about that now. So build week 1, right there, pretty standard. I got up to a 15-mile long run there. Build week 2, I had the Ohio State Championship time trial. So that was kind of like a key thing that I wanted to be fresh for. And that was 13 hours of training that week. Build week 3, I ended that week with Ohio 70.3's bike relay. So obviously I wanted to be fresh for that. I only got in 10 hours of training that week, but had a pretty kick-ass ride at Ohio 70.3. And then after that, I programmed in a down week. I needed the down week from that ride that I did at the relay event. And then I just needed that down week to set me up for my next phase of training, which was going to be actual Ironman build weeks. So I called this build 2. So I had 2 weeks here in this. So build 2, week 1, I actually ended that with a sprint triathlon where I did a longer run post race. And then build 2, I got in 16 hours of training that week. So that's getting in some pretty good Ironman volume. And I see I had a pretty hard stamina ride that weekend too. And then I had a down week there. So usually I like to have 3 build weeks and then a down week. For that phase, I had 2 builds and then a down week, and that's because we had the Tri-Clee Olympic Triathlon that weekend. So we kind of had almost like a forced down week because I wanted to put in a good race there, which I did. And then, as we talked about at the start of this video, I did a long run after that. So that right there puts us into my race prep phase of training. This is really Ironman specific training that I'm doing right now. Not a lot of threshold work. We are high volume right now. This is race prep week 1 is the week that I just completed. We talked about it at the start of this video. And then I'm going to have race prep week 2, which is I'm going to be doing this week now. That's going to be 18 hours of training. We're getting the long run, hopefully up to 20 miles there. Then race prep week 3, that's going to be 18 hours. So, and there's going to be a light race rehearsal at the end of that one. And then that's going to catch us up to that big down week where we already had the final 5 weeks of training written. So hopefully some of that kind of makes sense to you. It's hard to show you guys this after the fact now that I already have all the training written in here. But there was a point whenever I started this plan that this race prep phase was essentially blank. I had my 2 build periods written out in training. I had the final 5 weeks of training written out, but this race prep phase wasn't totally written out just yet. I had my priority workouts in there. I had the long bricks that I would want. I had my hours that I wanted, the targets that I'd hit, but I didn't have every single day written in there just yet like I do now. So I kind of give myself some leeway and let my body dictate what I'm going to write for that specific phase of training. So kind of meet myself where I'm at. And I do, I'm pretty similar with how I write the training for my athletes too. I don't just write them a whole 16-week plan and say, here it is, go at it. I review everything every week, and I usually write that next week of training towards the end of the week that they're on, just so I know where they're at. We get some information going. We talk about how their body's responding, and just really make it custom and work for them and their lifestyle too. I mean, stuff comes up in life that, I mean, if you guys watch my vlogs, I'm switching up my training every other day, it seems like. Just make it work for me, and just get really specific for the athlete or myself in training. So anyways, that's the Kona build in a nutshell here. I'm sure if you guys really wanted to kind of pause and look at some of the workouts I'm doing, and you'll see what I got going on, but it's nothing too crazy. The volume isn't insane. I'm not getting over 20 hours of training, I don't think. You know, unless I add in some of that auxiliary work, I might hit over 20, but it's just, it's not a bunch of junk. It's not a bunch of filler work. It's just stuff that is going to work for me, my body, and I know how my body responds. I know what my body can handle, and that's just where I'm at in this Ironman journey. I don't do well with the highest volume, but I think that this plan that I got going is really going to work good for me, and I'm looking forward to race day here. So I don't know. I don't know if I did a good job explaining my training. I don't know if this is answers anybody's questions that they had, but hopefully you could kind of get some ideas or give you something to help you follow along with what I'm doing here. But that's going to be the video for this week. This will be episode 7 of the Kona build, and hope you enjoyed seeing a little bit of insight on what I got going on. I don't know if there's anything else I could kind of show you guys or not, but this is I don't know, a bunch of whatever. It's data nerd stuff, really. But anyways, as always, I thank everybody for tuning in, following along, liking, commenting, subscribing, and yeah, stick around and stay tuned for more. We will have a actual vlog next week, so my apologies for this week's blunder. So see you guys.